August 12, 1985. It was a day that began just like any other, but it would soon be etched in history as the date of the worst single aircraft disaster ever recorded. Japan Airlines Flight 123, a Boeing 747, took off from Haneda Airport in Tokyo. Its destination was Osaka International Airport. On board were 524 souls, businessmen, families on holiday, and children excited for summer adventures. None could have predicted the horror that awaited them. Just 12 minutes after takeoff, high above the mountains of central Japan, disaster struck. The tranquility of the flight was shattered by a deafening boom. The rear pressure bulkhead, a critical component separating the pressurized cabin from the tail section, had ruptured. The explosion ripped through the aircraft with terrifying force, severing hydraulic lines and causing a catastrophic loss of cabin pressure. The once familiar hum of the engines was replaced by the deafening roar of rushing air and the chilling hiss of escaping oxygen. Panic gripped the passengers as oxygen masks dropped from the ceiling. Inside the cockpit, alarms blared, warning of multiple system failures. The situation was dire. The pilots struggled to comprehend the rapidly unfolding crisis. Their instruments spun wildly, providing conflicting readings. The once mighty 747, crippled and uncontrollable, was now at the mercy of the elements. Flight 123 was a domestic flight, just a routine hop across Japan. It was a Boeing 747 SR-46, a variant designed for short-range routes with increased passenger capacity. 509 passengers and 15 crew members were on board that day. Many were heading home to Osaka for the Obon Festival, a time to honor ancestors. It was a flight filled with anticipation, with families eager to reunite and celebrate. But fate, it seemed, had other plans. The plane had reached an altitude of 24,000 feet when the bulkhead ruptured. The force of the decompression was immense. A large part of the vertical stabilizer, the tail fin that keeps the plane steady, was ripped off. The pilots, Captain Masami Takahama, First Officer Yutaka Sasaki, and Flight Engineer Hiroshi Fukuda, were thrown into a nightmare scenario. They fought to control the aircraft, which was now bucking and rolling unpredictably. They managed to send out a distress call, their voices strained, trying to relay their dire situation to air traffic control. Uncontrollable, they declared, the chilling truth echoing through the airwaves. They attempted to turn back towards Tokyo, desperately seeking a place to land. But the plane, its vital systems compromised, was almost impossible to control. The heart of the disaster lay in a seemingly insignificant component, the rear pressure bulkhead. This bulkhead, a partition wall, is crucial for maintaining the pressurized cabin environment at high altitudes. Years earlier, the aircraft had suffered a tail strike incident during landing. While repaired, a faulty repair job had weakened the bulkhead, setting the stage for tragedy. The pressure differential between the cabin and the outside atmosphere put immense stress on the weakened bulkhead. Over time, this stress took its toll, leading to microscopic cracks that spread undetected. Finally, at 24,000 feet, the bulkhead gave way. It was an explosive decompression, the cabin air rushing out with violent force. The damage was devastating. Not only was the tail section severely damaged, but crucial hydraulic lines responsible for controlling the aircraft's flight surfaces were severed. This left the pilots with minimal control over the aircraft. They were fighting a losing battle against physics, their skills and experience no match for the crippled aircraft. In the passenger cabin, chaos reigned. Oxygen masks dangled, providing a lifeline in the thinning air. The plane was violently shaking, plummeting thousands of feet, then soaring back up. Passengers and crew desperately clung to anything they could, their screams swallowed by the roar of wind and the grinding metal. Yet, amidst the terror, acts of courage and compassion flickered. Some passengers, understanding the gravity of the situation, penned heartbreaking farewell notes to loved ones. Others comforted their children, sharing oxygen masks, whispering reassurances they themselves struggled to believe. Stewardesses, despite their own terror, moved through the chaotic cabin, offering comfort, guiding passengers on how to use their oxygen masks, their training kicking in even as hope dwindled. For 32 agonizing minutes, the crippled 747 fought to stay airborne. The pilots, through sheer will and skill, managed to level the plane momentarily. But their control was fleeting. The plane was locked in a deadly dance phugoid cycles, a terrifying roller coaster of climbs and descents, each swing bringing them closer to the inevitable. As JAL-123 desperately fought to stay aloft, a massive rescue operation was being mounted. Radar stations had picked up the distressed aircraft, its erratic flight path a beacon of tragedy. Japanese Self-Defense Force helicopters were scrambled, their crews prepared to brave the treacherous mountainous terrain to reach the crash site. However, bureaucratic hurdles and miscommunication hampered the rescue effort. Initial reports misidentified the crash site, sending rescuers on a wild goose chase. Precious hours were lost, as authorities struggled to coordinate the rescue mission. By the time rescuers finally reached the remote crash site on Mount Osutaka, it was too late. The scene that greeted them was one of unimaginable devastation. The once mighty 747 was reduced to a smoldering wreckage, strewn across the densely wooded mountainside. The impact had been catastrophic. Only 4 souls, all female flight attendants, had miraculously survived the crash, pulled from the wreckage by rescuers. The delayed rescue effort, marred by confusion and miscommunication, added a cruel twist to the tragedy.